I've been just uploading videos or whatever the case may be, but I want to talk about Kanye West. Give me 1 second here. There we go. All right, guys. I want to talk about Kanye West a little bit, and I know a lot of y'all wondering what's going on with Kanye and the whole ban on Instagram or whatever. And I'm here to tell you and explain to you how this is all vented and grasped within racism, believe it or not. But God, where do I start? Ever since this whole debacle started with Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and Pete Davidson, I know a lot of you guys are tired of hearing about this, but I have to avoid them in the conversation to make this all make sense. But since this whole debacle started with them, one thing that most of y'all should have been paying attention to was the amount of racism, the amount of sure just let's forget all about Kim Kardashian, which I'm working on a video for you guys right now that I've been working on for the past 2 days to explain this out a little bit further and point out a lot of things that you're missing and the reason that racism plays a lot of the part in this. Ever since Kanye West, first of all, let me tell you guys why Kanye got banned. Trevor Noah, who many of y'all know from England, many of y'all know from the NBC late night show, he had sent out a barrage of different tweets supporting Kim Kardashian. In response, Kanye injected, and he put on his Instagram, Kumbaya, Kun, Kumbaya, Kun. Now, I remember this term coon, and it was most widely used by the whole circle that invoked Boyce Watkins and all that. At least that's the first time I heard it widely used here on YouTube. So it's something that most people have come accustomed to if you're in the blackosphere of Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. If you're anywhere in that dynamic of being black and Latino, you've seen this. You've seen this word being used. You've seen this word used to other people when they do certain actions that you don't like, and we call them a coon. All right? Wide used term. Further it up even further. For over 400 plus years, you had slave owners in the Caribbean, in the United States, and many other places that they colonized using this exact same word. And not one time did they get banned. You have far right wingers that are on Instagram, that are on Facebook, that are on definitely YouTube. I interact with them sometimes. These people are not banned. They are allowed to say whatever they want to say. They are allowed to inject and throw comments and respond back to other people that comment against their whatever narrative may be. Now, I know you're asking me, where am I going with this? I'm going to tell you why. Ever since the whole debacle started with Kanye and his divorce and Pete Davidson and his interaction or whatever, I have pointed out to you more than more times than enough, put up videos or whatever, or why you should be paying close attention to what's going on with this story. It's not because of what Kanye is saying. And I think most of what Kanye is saying is in a retaliatory sense, meaning he's retaliating for the way he feels. And I'll get into that another time. But what I'm talking about is this: the exchange that he had with Trevor Noah yesterday was definitely based off favoritism. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. I can go on Instagram right now. I can go on Facebook right now. I can even go here on YouTube right now. And I will find scantily clad women. I will find women that are almost naked, if not naked or whatever. And those don't go against or violate the rules and regulations of YouTube, of Instagram, of Facebook. Okay, I've been banned off Facebook probably 3 or 4 times for retaliating if somebody said something to me. In turn, nothing happens to that person's page. A lot of times the disengagement happened. It happened with women, not just black women, but women of many different backgrounds, all in spite of their feminist views, their toxic feminist views, whatever the case may be. Okay, stay there. I probably had 5 or 6 times that I've been banned off there. I probably had 5 or 6 times I've been banned off TikTok for delivering some of the same messages that I have here, right? But if you go on TikTok, if you go on Facebook, if you go on Instagram, if you go on many of these different websites, what you'll see is women are almost given free reign to post whatever they want to, whether it be positive, whether it be negative, whether it be in between. These women are allowed to post these things, and whether they be scantily clad photos, almost every last one of these women nowadays, whether they be big, small, in between, tall, short, whatever, are Instagram models. I'm here to tell you, I worked in the music business for 17 years. If you are 5'4", weigh 220 pounds, you are not a model. You are an extra. Now, ever since the story's been unfolding with Kanye West, there's been a lot of sides been taken. There's people over here that are taking Kim Kardashian's side, including a lot of people that previously will speak against Kim Kardashian on any given day. Okay? Many of these people that are vying for the attention of Kim Kardashian or siding with Kim Kardashian or siding with Pete Davidson or whatever the case may be are taking out the equation that this man has 4 children by this woman. 4 children. And subsequently, they were married 6 years. So that's 6 years, and 4 of those years were spent aptly having children. Now we digress. I digress, and we move into the public display of what now is their divorce. And now people are picking sides. And it surprises me how many people, both normal and in media, are taking the side of Kim Kardashian when many of these different outlets, many of these different vloggers, especially many that I looked at, not even 3, 4, 5 months ago, some in the case of 1, 2, 3 years ago, and with some of the larger media outlets, we're talking about 5, 6 years ago, even 10 years ago, they were talking in the negative about Kim Kardashian. But when it comes to the highlighted view, where we want to see everybody in media, and you have to make a choice. Well, a lot of these people made the choice to take the side of Kim Kardashian, and that's based upon the fact that she appears to be white, which she's really Armenian, which is closer to North African than it is to being Anglo-Saxon. And if you don't understand that, that's why she has big lips, big nose, wide eyes, looks similar to a North African, but you look at her and see some similarities. That's why. With that being said, there are a lot of people trying to paint Kim Kardashian as a victim. Kim Kardashian is not a victim. Kim Kardashian, I think personally, and I've said this once and I'll say it again, I think you need to be spending time with those 4 little babies of yours instead of running around with this goofy of a man. Kim Kardashian is 41 years old. Pete Davidson is 28. Now, if this was a guy and he was doing the same thing, everybody would have something to say. Everybody would have something to say. The outlets would have something to say. This person would have something to say, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? When I look at this in depth, I see the tweets that go out. That's why I upload the stuff that I upload to you guys instead of saying it. And I see the people saying, like I saw this one tweet where this woman said, see how much more Pete is a man. This is when their interaction was going on. And he said, I'm in the bed with your wife. Shorty, he was dissing you too. And she didn't even get it. But the crowd went because this was a white man speaking this. And this is how they felt. And many people out here, you have to understand, they want Kim Kardashian with a white man. They're going to side with this white man in the Bocosphere because he's a white guy. This is including some Latinos and many of blacks in this country who are right now supporting Kim Kardashian and anything she says, any move she makes, any soothing she does, like she did that soothing session on Ellen talking about the tattoo that he had put on his chest for. If they only been dating for a couple of months, why would you put a tattoo on your chest of her? Then I caught up and I said, oh, okay, he did this for Ariana Grande too when he was dating her for that little short amount of time. He's done this for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 women that he's been with before he just recently got to Kim Kardashian. And if we're talking about celebrity status, Kim Kardashian and Ariana Grande will probably be the 2 biggest that he's conquered or dated. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's because of this guy and he's girthy for the ladies. I don't know if it's because, whatever the case may be, but I live here in the Northeast, okay? The tri-state, that's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, for those who are not familiar. Pete Davidson is from Staten Island, and that's about roughly maybe 45 minutes away from me, okay? If you guys are not familiar with the Northeast area, I'll say it again. We have a lot of pockets throughout the tri-state. This includes New York State too, and New York City, that are small towns, villages, some of them you have the names of. And the people we call there, we usually call them townies. These are people that don't leave the small town. They don't interact really necessarily outside these small towns. Thank you very much. And Unfortunately, they get put under this label of calling townies. And that's what Pete Davidson is. Pete Davidson's father, RP and rest his soul, and thank you for your service, sir, was a firefighter for New York City and died during the 9/11 trade tower incident, which I've had three friends that were involved in that, including my one friend, Ruben, whose wife was, I think she was on the, I believe it was 100 something floor, or 90 or something floor, something like that. So shout out to her. But and she does talks and sit downs with people and everything like that, discussing it. Has done this for years. Also written a book. I want to throw that in there about her experiences. Pete Davidson in Staten Island is a towny town. It's, yes, a borough if you want to call it, but it has a whole bunch of little small pockets within it. And this is where Pete Davidson is from. Most of the area in Staten Island is white. Most of the area in Staten Island, if you do have minorities that are over there, most of them are just over there to work. So it's grasped in that. So you have a whole pocket of people that are siding with Pete Davidson, more strictly because he's white, not because his father's a firefighter, was a firefighter, not because he's a great actor, not because he's a great comedian, because he has a little notoriety and he's white. And if you don't believe me, I'm trying to tell you, and I'll tell you three more times over, there are a lot of people that really don't necessarily think that Pete's the better choice. They just like Pete because he's white. And it's sad, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. You can't worry about things like that. And I would think by now that more people like D.L. Hewley, more people like Trevor Noah, who's half black, more people like the litany of different, who was that other girl? Lonnie, or whatever her name is on that, the chat or whatever that show is called, that annoying show with those cackling women. They all had something to say about Kanye and the support of Pete Davidson. Many of these people have never sat down and interviewed Pete Davidson. Most of these people have never spoke about Pete Davidson until this debacle started happening. And I started seeing the support and I started paying attention to who the support was coming from. Well, in the case of Lonnie Anderson, you have a white boyfriend that you spent months, if not even a year plus, a very portly, out of shape, unsuccessful looking white man, if you ask me, but and most people would agree. And he doesn't take the limelight too much. But when she first got with him, she was promoting him. Trevor Noah, who was half black and half white and not originally from the United States, but actually a European citizen, had his regards to say in his support of Kim Kardashian. So, see, what this really boils down to is that these men are taking the grab. And if you look at it in the spectrum, you would have to say that Kanye West is the biggest star and what he's the biggest star for. So it doesn't make any sense to me versus a Kim Kardashian. Now, Kim Kardashian is big. She has billionaires in her family now, her sister. But what's funny is her mother did the same routine. Yes, I'm talking about Kris Jenner. Your mama did the same routine. Your mama left after Robert Kardashian was passed, and a lot of people said she bought a man. I don't know who specifically the man was, but to the OJ trial, which maybe y'all don't know, Kim Kardashian's father, Robert Kardashian Sr., who her brother Rob Kardashian is named after, he actually oversaw the OJ Simpson trial. Man helped win it. His whole team, including the late great Johnny Cochran. Exactly. And so I'm responding to somebody in the comment section. And y'all tune in if y'all have something to say, because I want to hear what y'all have to say. Because I'm trying to break this down as quick as I can. I'm trying to get it up under 30 or 40 minutes. It's amazing to me that with all that said and done, the side that the media is deciding to take is Kim Kardashian. I'm almost embarrassed by it because I'm like, if I were you, Kim, I wouldn't take any of that seriously. I wouldn't take any of that support seriously. These are the same people that have mocked you for years, including NBC outlets, including Entertainment Tonight, including TMZ, including a litany of different media agencies who have for years, if not the past decade, smashed down, came down on Kim Kardashian, said she didn't have any type of freaking talent or whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, y'all are rallying y'all support. Who said that? Muchilla. I agree with you. Exactly. Look at my last video, you'll see, and I put that in there. So I'm reading what you say. I just can't say it out because then they'll turn around and you know how that goes. I've seen so much BS in this story that is literally welled around racism that is ridiculous. And the support that I've seen and the people that come in to support, and many of these Black and Latin faces that are now, if not a year ago, calling Kim all kinds of thoughts and everything like that. Now all of a sudden, you got our full support because we want you away from that. We want you away from that motherfucker right there. I don't like him. He's too cocky. He's got too much money. Let's bring him down a peg. See, this is the mentality of a lot of people. Now, there's an onslaught and there's an attack on men of color out here. I don't get what nobody say. I witness it daily. You know what I'm saying? Even when you're trying to be nice, even when you're trying to be perceptive, even when you're trying to be cool, you will outgunder it. You understand? And this goes for Black and Latin men. Latin men, how many cousins you got in prison right now? We can all go around and pretend, right? If you're a Latino man right now, how many cousins or friends you got in prison right now? Go ahead, I'll wait. How many friends or cousins you got right now that are on some type of state assistance, living in the projects, or something like that? Don't worry about it, I'll wait. And these same people are now siding with Kim Kardashian, and y'all don't even lift one eye and say, well, hold up for 1 minute. We supporting Kim Kardashian, the porno actress? We're saying this is a sound woman? And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. This whole situation that you're seeing right now unfold in front of you, in front of the media, is definitely about racism. And if there were coons, the coons are the ones that are speaking up and defending Kim Kardashian, where not just a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they would have in a normal light made fun of Kim Kardashian. Okay? So if y'all don't get that, if y'all don't see where this is going, it's a mechanism being used to destroy Kanye West. They busy calling him crazy for wanting to be a proper father to his children. Don't y'all understand that? Then these same men, Miss Haywood, they will turn around and say, oh, he ain't there. But now we got him in. Kanye had his father. Kanye's father is in a video just of recently with Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, and it was two other, Chloe and the other one, which I don't like them at all. I think Chloe's a real nasty person. I'm gonna prove that to y'all. I think that's why men don't end up staying with any of them. I think that deep down inside, they're nasty women. I found some footage that, and like I said, I can't tell y'all too much, but it'll be up. I found some footage that was just real disturbing when I looked at Chloe and listened to her. I said, "Ooh, these are some evil, nasty, belligerent. These are the people we're defending." You want your kids to be like them. And yes, believe me when I tell you, if a lot of women don't want their daughters to be just like the Kardashian girls, what they do want is they want them to emulate them as far as this is concerned. And that's why we live in these days right now where we have money over morals. In a morally rich society, no one should ever be taking up for the harlot, especially when the harlot has made a significant amount of money by her now soon to be former husband, giving her a high stake and percentage to make sure that if anything ever happened to him, that his kids will be taken care of in his company Yeezy. A lot of people don't know that. Kim Kardashian has worked into that deal. I had to do that research myself, but any bloggers that's watching me, please bring that up. Please bring that up. Don't leave that out. Kim Kardashian, I'll say for you again, has a significant stake within Yeezy brand sneakers by Adidas, which Kanye made sure that he prioritized and put her into it. Her Balenciaga deal, Kanye narrated that. And there have been many other rappers who have done this, singers who have done this for their women. Chris Brown, damn sure put Karuchi in a better spot. When we say Kanye West, damn sure put Amber Rose in a better space. Would we say? If we're talking about who's somebody else I can use as an example, there's so many guys that get overlooked and they work their women into products, work their women into side deals, work their women into becoming models, work the women that they're dating at the time into all kinds of different facets. So even when they separate and they divorce, I know Kanye. Kanye's not going to leave this woman out to dry. He loves this woman. And so what y'all really are basically doing is the ones that are supporting Pete Davidson, you're supporting the scandal. Imagine how you would act. And I'll pose this question. Imagine how you would act if a man went to dinner with you and his friend. And Machine Gun Kelly, you ain't innocent either. I don't care if you bad boy or not, B. I never met you. You understand what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned, you ain't real bad boy. You know what I mean? You ain't like us. You part of the team, but you ain't like us. And I'm not saying you necessarily full-fledged guilty either. Don't step up on me because I will knock the shit. Anyway, it, it, it's it's sad. If you were Kanye West right now and a man went to dinner with you, paid for your dinner, express how he was one of your biggest fans, express how he loved you so much, whatever, whatever. And then a few months later, your wife is on the show that he's on, and the first skit that they have is them kissing each other. Them kissing each other. And you make sure that your now husband is there. Kanye will never be the same superstar Bella since his mama died. Who would be the same after their mother or their father died? Who? Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button, please. Donate the Cash App links in the description box. I imagine that, and then you fast forward a couple months after that broadcast on SNL, Saturday Night Live, and now your wife is full-fledged with that man. And justly so, he should be hurt. It's his family. We're not talking about a girlfriend that he met over the weekend in Miami. We're not talking about a fling that he had for a couple of months with that girl like he was dating just a few months ago, or the girl he's dating right now, who was basically a Kim Kardashian clone. And I'm gonna get into Kanye and how he's at fault for a lot of this too before I end this. They just removed Kanye's Instagram for 24 hours. And a lot of people say, well, how does that equate with racism? And I said, because I could go on Instagram right now, and I can find at least within the first couple of minutes, I can find at least 30 posts of women scantily clad, naked in many cases. They'll try to put blurs on their breast or whatever, or the ever popular, I got my out for everybody to see. That seems to be the most popular pose. You know what I mean? It's either the dumb face or your butt hanging out. And you will see these posts day after day after day on the two entities specifically. And then we get into Snapchat, the third of the entities that Meta, formerly Facebook, owns. Facebook, Meta, has some particular, and if you guys are not familiar, Facebook, which is now Meta, owns both Instagram and Facebook. They purchased Instagram some years ago and Snapchat as well. So they own all three of those entities. So the same perimeters of rules that you have within Facebook extend to those two. Now we all know what Snapchat be used for. Snapchat used for the thoughts. Snapchat is used for the links to the OnlyFans. Snapchat is used for any and everything. Instagram, same thing. It's used to sell the J. It's used to link up things on OnlyFans. It's used to do this. It's used to do that. And so many times we point out the Black and Spanish girls that were on there. Have you ever seen any of the stuff that the white girls do on there? We always point out the Black and Spanish women that are on YouTube, that are on Instagram, they're on Facebook. And I like to be fair. Have you ever seen the stuff? I would say, in a sense, a lot of the white women that pose and do poses online or whatever, whatever, it's a light and PG-13 or it's extreme, extreme. I saw a girl on there that was dressed in full devil makeup like she was part of Kiss or a backup singer for Marilyn Manson. And she had all this demented, it was meant to imply that she was a demon and naked and spiritually giving herself. And I said, okay, so say if a 13-year-old came up and watched that post, what would they think? One thing also that sticks out, Richard Blumenthal, who is our state senator here in Connecticut, has been for many of years. Um, he was the one that first initiated the reason why Facebook is now called Meta, because they had to break up the company. Their congressional hearings. It was started by Senator of the States right here, Richard Blumenthal, and I'm glad he did it. And I think he had good intentions, and I think he got blindsided when they divided the company and wanted to rebrand and call the company somewhere else. They need to start looking in depth into them again. I think since Meta and the articulation of this company has now become Meta, they have gotten worse. You see more girls on there naked. You see these dumb, stupid tricks on there naked. I've seen tricks on there or in posts or goofball posts, whatever you want to call it, of people actually getting hurt, bleeding, whatever. That's never flagged. That's not given a 24-hour sit down. That's not given a week sit down, 2 week sit down. So there are picks. And I think in my mind, in my heart of hearts, the reason they picked Kanye West out was because it's a celebrity. And there's many people out there that are saying to themselves, I don't like him. He's a little too cocky. Let's take him down a tone. And women of color, I gotta blame you for that. Because many, and I'm talking about a segment, small segment, so don't get mad at me. I throw a lot of things out there because of if you ever took a sociology, I have many women on my channel that are very smart. If you ever took a sociology class, you know exactly what I'm doing. People act like he does not have feelings. He's a human. People love money, and the Kardashians have a lot of it. People want money or feeling that they are too close to it. The good book is right. The love of money is the root of all evil. Very well said Selma Hollywood. Kanye has to make better decisions, especially because of those children. Kids don't care about their parents' problems. Kids be like, what does that have to do with me? And they busy calling him, they want a proper father to be his children. Yeah, they busy calling him crazy for wanting to be a proper father to his children. I say that a million times. We are bashing him, man. It goes against your argument. See, so many times I get online and I hear women of color, black and Spanish, so, oh, my children's fault ain't here. He ain't this, he ain't that. Many times children grow up in a household where they hear the same thing. He ain't this, he ain't that. You are contributing to the advocacy of single parenthood, because even if her and Pete Davidson got married tomorrow, that's not those kids' father. Noticeably, they're brown. Noticeably, that's not Pete Davidson's kids. Those are Kanye's kids. The man that this woman had been with for 6 years. This is Kanye's first divorce. And as everybody can see, Kanye doesn't want the divorce. It's going to happen regardless, Kanye. You got to let it happen. Let it happen. Let it happen. I know where you're at. I don't have no kids that came out of it, but I was with a woman for a very long time, 7 years, and I saw what came out of that. Y'all hit those like buttons. So it's going to come to an end. And it's going to be sooner or later where y'all going to be so far apart that you're not even going to remember who this woman is. But this is what I got to say to you, Kanye. And you're not going to like it, but I got to say it. People warned you about dating this girl before you started dating her. People told you about this girl, and widely known to most of us, if not all of us, we knew her reputation. She came from a Ray J sex tape that she later, Ray J later monetized and still makes money from this day. This is the history that your woman's got. Everybody knows that your woman, this is her third divorce, while this is only your first. Every time she passed blame to those two men, or she falls in the middle and says, oh, I feel it, and starts doing this fake crying. So you had two opportunities to see who she was before she got to you. And Kanye, you're not innocent, because when she was with Homeboy, you were linking up with her then when she was married. That's why she finds it okay. Didn't you come in like this? Like I said, the same way you saw her leave somebody else for you is the same way she will leave you. And here it is, public spectacle, she's doing that. You went and had a baby with a thought. And somebody got to tell you, your kids are beautiful. Make no mistake about it. But son, you went to go have a baby with a thought. And when you go have babies with thoughts, you get thought problems. I try to tell so many young men, and this is why I don't have any kids, be careful of who you ingest with your seed, because it can mean the demise of you. You ain't never seen nothing. I'm a man that had everything taken away from him, quite partially at a 70% rate. 30% of it had to do with my job. I was moving my way around that. I went and got another gig that would hold me down, pay the rent or whatever. I was eating noodles, but the rent was paid. When you bring women in like this, they have nothing but greed on their mind. He would have never married a black woman that had a sex tape. Black women are held to a different standards. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You know why I don't believe that? I just had a video that they had banned from me that I put up of a man marrying a stripper. Did y'all see that video on my page? A man that was marrying a stripper. These strippers did a whole stripping routine in front of his whole invite list and a banquet. I can't make this up. Think of how many, we live in a world where Black China almost got married. We live in a world where most men are dating and bringing girls up out the strip club Amber Rose was in the strip club. Even though she's not black, she's Portuguese. Black China was in the strip club. And I can name many other girls that were in the strip club, known or unknown, that have come up. I used to see this when we was on our trips with Bad Boy. At the bank with Superstar Bella, they would twerk. You can look the video up yourself right now. It's on my page. And also, if you just go online and do a simple search, you will find it. So don't think, most guys, let me tell you something. Most guys, especially neighborhood guys, I like to call it, guys that have basically lived in urban areas and urban surroundings or whatever the case may be, they tend, no matter how much money they make, they tend to want a woman that's just like that. The woman reminds them maybe indirectly of their family, indirectly of their, you know, surroundings, whatever the case may be. A lot of times when you girls ask and you say, well, how could this dude have all this money and go get the worst woman in the world? And we're even talking about Kanye. It's because they're set to a certain template of woman. I've been part of it before. You know what I mean? I know other guys have been part of it before. But as Corey Oakham say, you don't know nothing until a woman destroy you. Or you don't know nothing like that. That's a different type of pain, because at one point what goes through your mind is, and I'm not saying I'm like Kanye, but I can tell you based on the sentiment, it's the same. What goes through your mind at first is, I can't believe she would do me like this. Y'all hit those like buttons. I can't believe she would do me like this. Is this really her? Was she like this the whole time? What was she doing that night such and such weeks ago? All these things start floating through your mind, and you start asking yourself, was I in the wrong position with this woman? Was this the wrong thing to do? Da, 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 da. And then sooner or later, you start coming to the realization, I shouldn't have been dealing with this motherfucker in the first place. Kanye, you should have gave that girl at least 4 years before you even had your first baby with her. I'm gonna be honest with you. You should have at least gave her at the minimum 4 years before you had your first baby with her. But I understand why you did, because you were used to it. And a lot of people don't put that out there the way it should be put out there. But I'm gonna put it out there. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and donate if you would. Cash App, PayPal, in the link description box. I put in a lot of work over here. I think I deserve my scruples just like everybody else. It's sad because when you deal with women like this, these women also have an ulterior motive, and they're also used to certain things. A lot of these women are used to, and I learned this living in New York, a lot of girls are used to the common drug dealer coming through to pick them up in the this, that, and the other, and the third, or whatever the case may be. They assert towards a certain, or the local basketball player, whoever the case may be. They have used their vajay to get in the game, just like Kim Kardashian did. Nothing wrong except choose the wrong chick. Choose a woman that was doing the poetry on Death Poetry Jam, told my congregation, did the whole. That's the girl you should have married. That's the girl you should have married. And it's probably too late for that now, but that's the girl you should have married. You were chasing superstar chicks, and I think a lot of it had to do with the circle that you had at the time with Jay-Z and seeing him with Beyonce or whatever, whatever. But you didn't even pick a Beyonce, at least Beyonce natural. You didn't pick a Beyonce. You picked a broke down Becky. I listened to Khloe Kardashian talk very nasty. It'll be in the video. Talk very nasty about an individual that Kim was dealing with. And it was after the fact, after Kim had been dealing with her. And I watched the whole time as Khloe was in this person's face, and she was just smiling and giggling and da 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 da. And now these same girls are now doing the same thing with Kanye, making posts and smiling and giggling with Pete Davidson. He don't even see it coming. You next, Pete. You don't even realize it. You were next. This is your turn. I can't make this up. It's Pete's turn, and he doesn't realize it. Pete, at the end of all this, will have a mediocre rise and an even quicker fall. And you won't hear from Pete Davidson anymore after this girl is done with him. And by that time, this girl will probably be about 43, 44 years old. She'll make the full transition to becoming the lawyer that she once her dad was. And then after that, the Kardashians fetishized brown skin. They used to all the men for their melanin. They wanted children to have a natural tone. Well, they have melanin in their skin. They're Armenian. I keep if you guys don't know what Armenia is, look it up on a map. It's not too far outside of. It's in this tricket of an area that's between like Spain, Portugal, and North Africa. And so most of the people that are there are brown complected, have negroid features, which mean lips are fuller, nose is fuller, ears a little bit high tight back, cheekbones are usually big. And if you look, there's one picture with Kim Kardashian, you can really see her features, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And Chloe takes the features too, believe it or not, of an Armenian woman. These are light brown women. If you've ever seen most Armenian women, they're either olive complected, brown, and in some cases very, very dark, way darker than Kim Kardashian. And had her mother been Armenian, even black, you would see that even more profoundly. The fact that if you look at her children and you look at her and Kanye, that's why the kids look overwhelmingly more, and I'm going to say black, hybrid black, than they do with any hint of white in it whatsoever. And I've got my reasons behind that too. None of y'all never thought about it. It might not just be the man, it might be that she just hates her mama. That whole thing about hating moms and dads, that's universal. I hear you, superstar Bella, but there's plus and minuses on everything. As quick as you're to say, "Oh, well, they ain't got melanin, they jealous of our melanin," as quick as she could say, "Well, I'm white in society, and you're not." See how that equates? So for everyone you pull up, there's one, two, three, four they could pull up. You won't win with that argument. That's a different type of argument. I'm not deducing what you said, but what I'm saying is, in the scope of bigger things, you can't take that in a court. You can't take that in the debate room. Um, in fact, I'm going to tell you guys something, and you're not going to like what I said, but I got to say it. A lot of the notions that you guys are holding on to, a lot of the things that y'all are starting to grasp or whatever from hearing certain YouTubers talk this type of language or whatever, many of these YouTubers that are talking that language have never been in the room to actually dictate that language. None of these people have actually been in a room where that actual strategy has worked. And I'm talking about outside amongst being their own or people that have the same thinking patterns as they do. And I do believe what Superstar Bella said, as far as like feature wise, the whole thing with the lip injections and all that stuff, or the BBLs or whatever, whatever. Yeah, I can see that. But as far as fully wanting to be you, that's physically impossible, and they know that. But make no mistake about it, Kim Kardashian and her family resides from the same area, damn near the same continent that you're from. Not a mama, but a dad. And a quick glance at the map, it'll show you the same thing. So I don't have to argue that too much. I'm pretty good. That's one thing I'm good at, if y'all ain't never noticed. I'm good at science and I'm very good at history. Always my favorite two subjects. I think Kanye West doesn't realize, or started to realize, not jealous of Mel, they just want it for themselves. Kylie stole Jordan Wood's entire face. I don't know about that. I don't like Jordan Woods. I never cared for her. You know why I didn't care for her? I didn't care for her because she spent so much time hanging out with. Put yourself in the same position, right? Of Jordan Woods. Y'all hit those like buttons if you would. Jordan Woods spent predominantly most of her time hanging out with those girls for whatever reason. In my opinion, it's because the girls had money and they were rich. Jordan Woods is not as opulent as them. Jordan Woods doesn't have as much business invested as they do. She doesn't see the same type of revenue they see, or whatever, whatever. But when it was this, she tried to go to outlets and roll with the story based on the fact that she was trying to get some notoriety for herself and make a play. Many of these girls do that. Only difference was this time it was she was doing it to some girls instead of doing it to a man. So I ever since I heard the Jordan Woods story break, and then it had that little bit and part in there where they talked about how she actually reportedly slept with Tristan, I just really I had no use for, because see, if she'll do that to it's if you were rich, just like Kim Kardashian, it wouldn't matter what color you were. If she was around in your circle, she would have did the same thing to you. I've seen what was the girl that was hanging out with Ti and Tiny? She hung out with Ti and Tiny for years. All of a sudden, when this news story broke, she got so much to say. Well, why didn't you say it 5 years ago? Why didn't you say it 10 years ago? You see what I mean? See how that works? So sometimes you have to just put a play for what it is. It's a play. It don't have nothing. It doesn't have any racism on it. You understand what I'm saying? Pete Davidson making a play for Kim Kardashian. That's a play. He knows that he's not as big as Kim Kardashian or Kanye. Meanwhile, he's getting the most publicity out of everybody. If you look at the stories and the headlines, he's always mentioned now what Kim and Kanye are. Do a quick search for yourself. You always see, if you put in Kim or Kanye, In the past 2 months, the first thing you will see is Pete Davidson come right into the headline too, somehow or some way. If he's not in the headline, he will be mentioned in the story itself. This is how real advertising works, and he knows this. See, based on the same algorithm y'all talk about on YouTube or whatever, whether or not you fit in or fit out of it, or have you been subjugated because of something you may share or whatever the case may be, they put you into a certain category. And now, every time the story comes up on the Google search, you're now included in that Google search. Same thing works with your stories. I'll give you a quick example. If you watch what you're studying and looking for on YouTube or on Google, what you'll start to see is you'll start to see suggestions of what you searched out to look for earlier. See what I mean? So make no mistake about it when I tell you guys this, and I'll tell you again, and I'll tell you 2 times over. One of the problems here with this whole Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson thing is Pete Davidson needs to back up. I wouldn't want to be, I couldn't consider myself being a man. I couldn't consider myself being cool. I couldn't consider myself any of that if the fact remained at this point that I'm watching a family dissolve in front of my eyes. I'm popping online on Twitter making jokes about, hey, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing so many things out of the way, putting up posts, whatever, whatever, getting tattoos branded on my chest, whatever the case may be, all to get attention. Who brands? You know, branding is permanent. My uncle used to have a horseshoe branded right here on his forearm. Shout out to my uncle Ricardo. He used to have a horseshoe branded right here on his forearm. Okay, that was from his years over in the islands, and I remember looking at that every time I saw it, and I was like, "Yo, that looks like it hurts." And he used to always joke with me, "I'm gonna wait till you sleep, and I'm gonna give you one." You know what I mean? No, you ain't. Bless up my uncle Ricardo, man. But I'll tell you how straight up and down, and I'll say it again. This is a play. This is a game, and Kanye, you losing right now. You gotta stop going after this girl. Don't say nothing more about her, because next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna try to come at you legally. And that legal stance that they take, the next thing that's gonna happen is this. It's gonna interfere with you trying to cultivate and be in your children's life. And we both don't want that for you. I don't want to see Kanye in the next 10, 15 years wondering where North or Chicago or their whereabouts, or not being able to see them, or being limited to see them or whatever, and being fully under the influence of Kim Kardashian and her family. I don't think that's going to work out well. She already got this little girl on TikTok already. Next thing will be YouTube. Next thing she'll have her own account. Next thing she'll be running her own account to have some handlers. Y'all hit that like button. I don't want to see that. So I think it's pertinent that Kanye West be in his kid's life. And for all you ladies that are out here and y'all supporting an ex-porn participant, these thotteries of that's going on with these girls, look at their track record. And then look at Kanye West's track record. Kanye West didn't have no kids until he got with Kim. Did anybody ever pay attention to that? He didn't have no side babies. He didn't have no chick calling him up with Wichita kids just talking about, hey, I got a baby. Kanye didn't have any kids. In fact, Kanye waited till he got married. Well, that's not true. Kim was pregnant beforehand, which is another, I'm gonna break that down in my video. Y'all gonna love this. Y'all gonna see how gritty, grimy, and how delusional this girl is. I honestly and truthfully think she's missing a chromosome or two, because she's kind of like slow. If y'all really pay attention to Kim Kardashian, if you really pay attention to Amber Rose and the girls he's dated, they're kind of ditzy. They're not even ditzy looking. They're just ditzy. You know what I mean? And so she was pregnant while she was still married, and she was putting out, I can't give it away. But Kim has done a lot of dirt. Please rest assured I'm going to prove that. And maybe somehow or another will curve your minds and your positions and your hatred towards Kanye, or more importantly enough, maybe perhaps hatred towards men of color, and trying to deduce them and breaking them down. Is that her name, Alexis Pfeiffer? Okay. That's the girl that did the poetry, right? Let me know, Superstar Bella. It'll start deducing your ideas that this girl is innocent. This girl is not innocent. I'm going to go as far as to say this girl is trash. And her whole family, them girls, is trash. They sell themselves to make money. They're no different than your regular OnlyFans girl. They're no different than the local prostitute that's in the back of whatever listing online. These girls are for the price. And it's no simple as that. Who's got the best price? And the only reason she sold down on the price right now is she's trying to narrate and give to y'all, to the public, a certain imagery that she is this clean cut woman she's going to use this as a springboard. If Kanye continues, she's going to use this as a springboard for her lawyer career. And I don't think Kanye sees that coming. This is a devilish woman, bro, that you're dealing with. And you shouldn't have never, ever inseminated this woman with your seed. I'll say that again. I'll say it at 2 times. But now that you're in it and you have those beautiful kids, when you get back on Instagram, don't make no mention of them. Let them rock. They're going to be taken care of. Trust me. You a preacher, Kanye. You a preacher. So let God do his will. And you will see, my friend, that this all will come in favor of you. Give them 1 or 2 months to forget all about this. Give her 1 or 2 months to forget it, to stop going on. Because right now she's on PR tour. You do understand that. She's trying to protect the brand Kardashian. So she's on PR tour. She knows what she's doing. She's using Pete as a stepping stone for the next dude she's really going to date. Ultimately, if y'all think she's going to ride out to the sun with Pete Davidson, you slower than I thought you were. Easily impressed. Look at this guy. He looks like an extra for The Simpsons. And you think that woman is going to stay with him. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. She will date him until the duration, the completion, maybe a couple months after the divorce is finalized. Right now, she's just separated, basically, in terms of declared legally single. Y'all make sure y'all hit those like buttons. And after that, it's open season. And Pete, you'll be the next victim. And in fact, I'm going to say to this, any of the artists that I know or anybody else that's now thinking that this woman is prime real estate, she is not prime real estate. This is a single baby mama. You declared yourself legally single, so now you a single baby mom. And I'm not saying that single baby moms ain't nothing, but usually single baby moms come with 1 or 2 kids. This woman got four kids and a thirst for Balenciaga bags. Can you afford it? Can you afford it? That's like trying to date. Who's got money like Kanye? Michael Jordan. That's like trying to date Michael Jordan's ex. And I remember how Earthquake had that joke. You ain't got no money to be over this motherfucker. Imagine trying to compete with that being the new guy coming in the field. She's paying for Pete right now. He makes no qualms about it. And I found it laughable when he said, I made SNL stop telling. Listen, Lorne Michaels is not under the direction of you. You guys don't know who runs SNL. It's Lorne Michaels. He has since the 70s, since they were, what the heck were they? It was called something. It was like almost like a workshop, really, before it became Saturday Night Live. And I can't think of the name of it right now, but it had a different name to it before it became Saturday Night Live. And Lorne Michaels oversaw all that. He does to this day. I don't even know who's going to replace him because the man has been there so long. I mean, and we're talking back in the days when Eddie Murphy was there. That's why Eddie Murphy was so easy to make an easy return back there, because he knew Lorne Michaels. And if you don't know who Lorne Michaels is, look him up. Yeah, make sure y'all hit that like button. So, son, trust me, you in the line of Jim Belushi, Eddie Murphy, David Arquette. I could list so many. Chris Rock, so many people that have been on it. What's son's name from Brooklyn? His name is right on top of my head. Tracy Morgan. All these wonderful comedians. And Pete Davidson is not that funny. Let's be honest. Pete Davidson is not funny at all. All these wonderful comedians that come out to the machine of SNL, and you being at the latter tier of them, okay? You're not even as funny as Adam Sandler, Chris Farley. You know, I watched SNL since I can remember. And I've seen the transition of all those comedians on there, whether it be in syndication, and those are older shows and they're now viewing them, or they're in new shows and I'm just now first seeing them. And I can't think of any of those guys that have become superstars that Pete Davidson is as funny as. I watched a portion of that little corny movie he filmed out there, a little dirty ass Staten Island. And yeah, I said it like that, dirty Staten Island. Anybody live in the tri-state area, you know what I'm talking about. Kanye should Pete is funny looking, not funny at all. Exactly. He's a guy that lucked out, man. And this happens in the comedian world. This happens in the rapper world. This happens in the singer world. This happens in a lot of worlds within the industry. It's just some people they luck out. They were lucky that day. And he just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Is he a little sarcastic? Yeah, but he's not funny. And son, he's going to use you. So just to conclude what I was saying, the reason I say that this whole story is bent in racism is because of pure simple fact. This is about the white public or a segment of the white public within that supports whatever being more interested in seeing Kim Kardashian with a white man now after she's had children with a brown man, which don't make no sense to me. So you're hoping that this white man institutes and engages in their rearing as they grow up. That's what I'm thinking in people's sick mind. You know, I've seen a lot of divestors out there making podcasts and talking about, oh, that's what he deserved or whatever. I don't think Kanye deserves this or whatever. And if you like dating white men and you want to have children with white men or whatever, ladies, good for you. Don't bash me along the way. That's all I'm asking. I do a lot of, and I'm pretty sure one day it'll come up. And I want to put myself on camera saying this. I'm very much into sociology. I know how sociology works very well. I know it previously because it was an area of interest for my mother. My mother was in the medical field. So later on, when I went to college and everything like that, it became one of my interests, a suggestion of someone. So I said, all right, I'll take this as a ladder course or whatever, work it into my curriculum and take the points for it. It was very small scale too. I think it was like only 2 credits maybe for this particular class I took. And so I know how to prompt the reaction I'm looking for, and I know how to make people open up and become who they really are versus who they pretend they are online. Because a lot of people online pretend that there's somebody else, and actually inside they're somebody totally different. And I'm telling you, a lot of people online, including a lot of you media outlets, and I'm going at the Entertainment Tonight. I'm talking about Inform Overload, who has this one white kid on there on a daily basis. It was this girl, and I wrote a comment in there, and I said, "You a sucker," basically. And ever since then, they've had this one little skinny little white dude, Inform Overload. Y'all make sure y'all go over there to that page and display your disgust so you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. But he wore the most racist hat proudly. Remember the mega cap? So let him sit in it. Special K. A man's political choices should not be deduced by, this is a free country. So as quick as you say that, I could say this. Well, I saw the black female that got beat up by the white football player a couple months ago, right? I could easily say, even though a lot of women of color sit around all day long, and this is what I mean, you've got to watch what you say and equate it when you say it. I could say that black woman that got beat up by that white football player, and if many of y'all remember that story, he stomped the living life out of her. He was trying to kill her. She even said herself she was lucky to be alive. That means that I would be like, well, hey, that's what she gets. Or the girl that I put a video up on my page about the girl who did the what is it called, the something guzzlers or whatever gag, whatever that filthy porno stuff is or whatever. And a lot of black and Spanish women go over there and let these white men wearing Confederate flags and calling them all kinds of niggas and spicks and all kinds of stuff or whatever. Yes, these women allow these men to call them that as they're degrading them. I mean, they degrade them to the point where they're throwing up some of the women. I mean, physically throwing up, not, I'm talking about physically where you see it on the camera throwing up, and they call this porn. Ghetto gaggers, that's the name of it. Am I to say that's what they get? Because many of those girls that go over there like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. So where it divides in your argument, Special K, is this. It's hard for you to sit up and have and one token to have the attitude and say, well, and I'm pretty sure you've heard women say this, and many of you women have done it. It's a white knight syndrome that most of you girls grew up with, playing with your Barbie dolls and everything like that. And you say, oh, white and porcelain is just perfect. And it's so not. But I will say this. A lot of you ladies want to look at men and ask them for defense. Say these men are not doing anything for us. These men don't have our back or whatever. And then you put out statements like that. And what? I am not an absolutist. I am not a tribalist, nor so either. I've had people come on my page personally and say a litany of different things about me. oh, he ain't all the way black, so we shouldn't be supporting. Have you ever heard something that dumb? But I've had people say that. One time, I never somebody heard me speaking Spanish on one of my podcasts, one of my lives, and they had something very racist to say to me, or not even racist. It was just like more so annoying, and I was just like, "Oh, really? That's how you feel?" And I blocked them right then. And it was the first time it happened. It happened several times. Okay, I can't help who I am. I can't help how I look, and I'm very proud of what I look like. You understand? Salud, la gente latino, tú sabes, salud. So I don't get into that. But I get where you're coming from. Then there's the third argument. I can't think of too many African Americans, as far as I know, that aren't mixed with white. In fact, there's a famous picture done by Ebony Magazine, and they got the descendants of Thomas Jefferson. There's an area called Monticello in Virginia. It's his home. Thomas Jefferson, former president of the United States. And you guys can go look this up on Google right now. I can't make this up. And please hit those like buttons, please, guys. It helps me out. If you don't donate, at least hit the like button. You'll see three shades of family. One shade is white, one shade is yellow, and the other shade is pitch black. And the whole family. Descendants of Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson. So there aren't too many African Americans that you could say that are in the United States that are pure blood anyway. That means you would have to trace your lineage back to Liberia or whatever the case may be. So when you make the argument, you say, "Oh, well, I'm poor bred," or it's really, to be honest with you, and I'm not trying to be funny. Whenever you have extremist views like that, it's usually based in some type of oppression that you've incurred yourself, and this is the only way you find to fight back. And I'm here to tell you that's not the way you fight back. That's not the way. That's more or so how you get exclusion and you get separatism. We're not talking about Kanye committed murder. We're not talking about Kanye molested some children. We're not talking about Kanye raped a woman. We're talking about Kanye made a decision on his dating and it didn't work out. Well, I could use the same argument and say, well, a lot of you ladies made some decisions during dating and you got a side baby or two, and I guess it just didn't work out. Should we throw you to the side? Because I hear a lot of advocacy for single mothers. How come nobody wants to date single moms? Because a lot of men look at it as a financial responsibility. A lot of other men, they don't care. I've dated girls with kids before. I didn't care. But some men do care. So when you present these arguments, don't present them in absolutes. Because when you present them in absolutes, what tends to happen is they can be very easily deconstructed and quickly. Especially if you're, and I don't even toot my own horn, someone that's intelligent and quick-witted intelligence. You have to, what they call, present, um, I want to say it right, a something argument or disagreement. It'll come to my mind in a minute, but it's something called something disagreement. I think it's a legitimate disagreement, but it's a particular term that's used for that, and I just can't think of it right now. But I get hurt sometimes when I see women, a lot of women of color, and I got to segue into that now. A lot of women of color that are absolutely just jumping for glee and think that everything they could imagine, I'm sure the Cynthia G's and many others that are not even following her or part of her movement, are very satisfied right now. And that's why I say racism plays a part in this, because a lot of women are now equating Kanye West breaking up with Kim Kardashian. And see, I told you. I've probably halted on about 30 to 40 stories within the past 2 weeks that involved women of color not only killing men, running them over with cars. There was another one where a woman shot this man while he was sleeping because she suspected he was cheating. Out in Detroit, if you live in the Detroit area, you know the story I'm talking about. To come to find out the man was being a stand-up man to this woman. Are we supposed to cut her off too? Because she's an example of the extreme, don't you think? So that's why I said with this situation with Kanye West, this is not a situation at extreme. No one has been harmed, nobody has been killed, nobody has been hurt, etc., etc. So I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to separate myself from Kanye West now, because Kanye West has done a lot of things and people don't highlight on that. And in the meanwhile, Kanye will never date them. And see, once again, you guys are wrong. Before, what was the girl's name he was dating in February or January, around that area? I want you guys to do this, right? I want you guys to go look up the girl that Kanye was dating before he was dating that girl, and she came and went so quick. I can't think of her name. I know the new girl's name is Channy or Cheney. That's the one that looks like Kim Kardashian. Then there's his last girl, and then the girl before that he was dating, she was black while he was still with Kim. In fact, she's not the only black girl that Kanye has dated in the past couple of years. Including after Amber Rose, he was attached to another black woman. Including before that, he was attached to another black woman. And I'm gonna say this: I think a lot of times we override and use race and basis of race, especially the women. Listen, ladies, I'm not. How can I say it? You can't shame me into dating you. And if you have to shame me into dating you, then I then have to question what is your worth. You can't shame me into marrying you, because then I have to ask myself, well, what is your worth? You can't shame me into now taking the side and now going to shame other men that look like me. Therefore, at the same time, you won't go shame other women that are out here that are naked online, women out here that are talking derogatory about men, women out here that are setting men up, women out here that are actually killing men and hitting them with the car, shooting them, stabbing them, whatever the case may be. And for those stories, a lot of times these same women that have a problem with this and want to advocate against this will turn around and have nothing but giggles and laughs for whatever happened to that man. And that's what attributes to situations exactly what I'm talking about right now. And you don't see it. And I don't know what it is that I could do or what I can say to make y'all see it. But what you're doing is little small interactions that you guys have, micro interactions, are leading to wider problems. Very wide problems. Problems within 5 to 10 years. Many of you are going to sit back and be like, what the fuck were we thinking back then? Because now you're more mature. Now you're more inclined in society. Now your worth may be huger. Or maybe your life is reduced down to nothing. That's a possibility too. And that'll make you look at things. Maybe you look at things. Maybe you look at things. You know? So the only thing I'm saying to you ladies is I'm not against you. But at the same time, be very critical of what you say, and be very critical about how you present it. Because the same way, everybody's not dumb. So when you run up on somebody like me or many other men that I know that are like me, they're very quick-witted, can very quickly decipher what you're saying and how you're saying it, where it's rooted from, even though your intentions may not be like that. I put it in a lineage and in a line of other women that talk like you and spew things like that, or women that advocate those particular websites, social media sites, or YouTube page, or women that advocate behind that message. And then I have to throw this 50-50 fold at you, because I will see these same women over there. A lot of these women that talk negatively about men of color or say things like, I hope Kanye loses or whatever the case may be. What you'll find in common demand all the time is a lot of times these women don't have husbands. They don't have steady relationships. If they do have relationships, they're in horrible states. They usually have 2 to 3, 4 children. They've usually been mad for a long time or whatever. And it's okay to talk about this. And I'll talk about the men too. And more importantly, as I'm watching the counter right here, a lot of these women won't even want to have the discussion because they believe it's all your fault. And I'm telling you, ladies, you have yourself into a future of being husbandless. And it's going to affect the population. That's why I speak up about it. So this is not a spew at the ladies or whatever, but it's just more of a case of showing you how on both spectrums, women of color and white people, how racism plays a part in this whole debacle with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson. So I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I would just leave Kanye in the dust, forget Kanye. Why? He's got 4 beautiful kids. Aren't those kids black now? You know what I mean? So, and the majority of you that want to sit back and act like you just moved here from South Africa, act like you just moved here from Mozambique. Where you from? Sudan? You know what I mean? Oh shit. I do not like what is going on with this Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson and Kanye West situation. I do not like it. What did they say? Ooh. I've been around a lot of African people before that. I had my friend Baba Mutunde. He's from Ghana. He used to speak just like this. Oh, they think they're crazy? Don't you worry about it. The mafia is coming. Shout out to Babo Tunde, man. That's my man right there, Ninth Avenue, Manhattan. You cannot, ladies, keep going at the same rate. There's not going to be a preponderance of white men that are going to be ready to date you and marry you and take you off into the bliss of what you think, and later on financial ruin, like many unaccomplished white men that white women call out unaccomplished white men. I want you guys to do me a favor. Go to Google and enter in unaccomplished white man term. Enter that in. And you're going to see what you come up with. And you're going to see it's been used for a very long time, and it's used to shame white men amongst other white men. Unaccomplished white men. This term that goes back probably 1600s, 1700s, if not further in England. You got to, a lot of you guys have great ideas. A lot of you guys are smart, but you're not very well versed outside secular thoughts and secular tribalism. You're not very versed in history itself and how people ordain history and astute to it in this country currently. You understand what I mean? And that's not to insult any of you. But when I have so many people that come on and proclaim they're getting the doctrine in this and the doctrine in that, and most of the time the subjects of what their interests are very lucrative, are very needed, are very much at a stale play. There's a lot of different I went to college, so there's a lot of different things you could go to college for, and you could spend years on and still come out mediocre. It feels good to you, you know what I mean? But what do you really know? And that's what I'm more so focusing on when I engage with people. And I have different ways of engaging with people. Some people I can be at an exceptionally articulate, intellectual conversation. Other people, it's like, yo, what the fuck's popping there, son? You know what I mean? And it comes from a thing of where I grew up very well. I did. I can't lie. But later on in life, I chose to go hang out with them people that my mom and dad told me not to go hang out with. And a little bit of my granddaddy from Philly came out in me. Shout out to my mom's father, RIP. So, it's because she tells me that all the time. I look exactly like my dad, but like, it's just funny because like I'm like my grandfather in a lot of ways. RIP my grandfather, man. I miss him. Um, Let me tell you guys this, ladies. You got to switch up the dynamic. A lot of you are in charge now. A lot of you guys have good positions as far as media is concerned. Now, in the workforce, I'm willing to argue that all day long, you know. But many of you ladies have went to college for 5, 6, 7, including some went to graduate school. So you're talking 8 or 9 years to becoming your professions, and we respect that. Most generally speaking, most guys respect that. But the attitude that comes out of it, where I heard this girl on actually, it was last night when I was on with Sean Prez and Rich Dollars. Shout out to the Boys Club. And this woman said, "What do you do?" I think it was Abby. She came on. She said, "What do you do when a man thinks he's smarter than you?" And I was like, "Well, what necessary?" In the back of my mind, I wanted to say, but I didn't. I didn't put it out there. Well, what makes you think you're so smart? What makes you think you're so smart? For you to actually raise that question, that means you're obnoxious enough to think that you're smarter than other people. It's one thing making a declaration and saying, well, maybe you're not as versed in this particular subject as I would like you to be. So I don't want to engage with the subject anymore. But it's another thing to you having an absolute, and you saying, you know what? I know I'm smarter than this man. And I feel that he's pretending that he's doing that. But the same attitude won't be taken towards dealing with a white man. And I get lost with that. I get so lost with that. I'm like, okay, this is the angle and this is the position you take when it comes to men of color, but you don't take that same position when it comes to a white man. They'll do the same thing with Latin men too. I've noticed that too. Especially when they start getting used to it, because in New York and Connecticut, you get a lot of Latin guys with black women, black men with Latin girls, and I notice they'll take the same acquisition and start putting that out. And I've even started seeing it online now, where a lot of these black girls, once they do get with a white dude, they end up getting divorced a couple years out, or they end up trying to treat them like they would treat us, and that just does not work out. You know what I mean? Got you now. Now I can start showing the real me. And it's sad, and it really comes down to who are you inside. So when I hear comments from black or white, and they say things like that about Kanye and a man that is more than clearly enough trying to take up for his kids and trying to be in his kids' life as his father was in his life. And I know a lot of people can't identify with that because your daddy wasn't ever around. Or a lot of the guys that are talking right now, you got kids you don't even go check. And them kids live in your same town. He was flying his kids out from Calabasas, California to Miami, Florida. See the difference? So when we acquiesce and try to equate our lives, well, when y'all try to equate your lives to superstars, um, know this: you're not a superstar. And just because, yes, we all are human, you don't live the same lifestyle. You don't have the same options. You definitely don't have the same form of representation. I mean, in court, and I don't care if you're making $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year. I know what they could afford. Do you know how quickly you could spend $100,000 on a certain case within 6 months? Why do you think Tasha K didn't drag out her case? She couldn't afford it. Then after, what was she in court for? 2, 3 years? It starts coming quite expensive. And you'll start seeing things, and to give you indicators of that, you'll start seeing things like people start changing their legal teams. You'll see 3 or 4 different changes of legal teams. Well, do you think you can get this case done faster? Well, just because you get it done faster, usually what that recommends is not all the evidence is going to be allowed it in, you know? It's sad, man. It's sad. We've got to stop this whole thing of assuming and being presumptuous, to put it in better words. And the presumptionists and the attacks have to cease on people of color. And I got to ask some of you, a lot of you, when are you going to start attacking some of these other people? Because if we look at this in a historical factor, you remember when this has been depicted in a couple slave movies. You will see the white woman run through the field, and she be like, ah, they attacked me. Oh, the slaves. Or we talk about Emmett Till and the situation with him. And shout out to Marcus, because he pointed this out. He said that that woman that lied on Emmett Till is still alive. And she admittedly said that she lied so many years back, and that boy lost his life because of that. Ain't nobody went to go check her. Ain't nobody grabbed out the house and said, yo, bring your ass. No, what you do is each year that the commemoration and the celebration of Emmett Till's death comes up, what you do instead is you go over there and collectively mourn. Oh, Lord, Lord. Oh, Lord, Lord. We's gonna be free. Lord, 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 and all that crap and all that crap. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't. I can't. Going at the Latino coming to me. I don't know. I can't. Santo Cristo. I can't. I can't. I can't do these morning sessions when the solution to your problem is right there. So the same way you attacking Kanye West, go attack that woman. She's still alive. I ain't saying go attack her, but you know what I mean. I don't even see any of y'all bringing her up in any of your podcasts or anything else. So that's why I say so many times, the things that y'all talking about, the things that y'all keep secular within y'all little blogger spheres, YouTube posts, Instagrams, Twitters, Snapchats, only relevant to people trying to be popular in high school. If you really want to talk about your adult forms of being a YouTuber, many of y'all ain't there. There's a lot of YouTubers that are out here that are there. Shakima, I think that's what her name is. She's a relationship chick. Danica, the Crimson Cure, a couple other ladies. Ladies, pardon my suggestions, but I have a certain way of doing things to, let's see, mud out the trash. My mom taught me that word. My mom taught me this. Yeah. And I learned how to put it in order later on. There's a lot of people, if y'all don't understand what I mean, there's a lot of people within y'all whole collective crews of pro-blackism and hotepism or whatever. Some of the most crooked, nasty, conniving, money-hungry people you ever met in life. Basically street trash with a camera. And they get online and they take thousands of donations from you, broken promises over and over and over again. Don't show you what they're giving you or anything else or whatever the case may be. And these same people are in the midst of all of you. And they will act and they will pretend like they care. But when you look at their record, you'll see they have done absolutely nothing but talk. They talk and they talk and they talk and they talk and they have these debates online. And yeah, brother, you know what I'm saying, brother? We got to get it together. You know what I'm saying, brother? And all this crap, whatever. Sí, tú sabes, gente, tú sabes, le juego la Mario, you know, all that shit. And everybody gets online, they talk about all this stuff, and nothing happens. One person gets elected in the Senate, or one person gets elected in the state board, or one person gets elected to work for this part of the town, or little small, intricate portions. And I would say blacks more than Latinos because blacks make up 38% of the House of Representatives. I think Latinos make up something like 6.5 or 7%. And it's only in certain locales such as New York, California, and I believe Chicago and Texas are the other ones. So most of the senators are from those areas. I'll say it to you again. You can look this up for yourself. 38% of the House of Representatives, and it's been such since I believe 1983, 84. I might be off by one of those years. Has went from 30% of the House of Representatives. This means your senators, congressmen, people that actually make the bills. You know what I mean, or at least put together the bills or whatever, and those bills are passed. This is why you see AOC's name come up a lot as far as the Latino spectrum versus other Latino senators that have been there 30, 40 years and have put in way more work than this little one time dingy bartender. You understand what I'm saying? There are some Latino senators that have been in California, have been in Texas, that have literally, like the guy that ran, his last name was Castro. That was his only problem. His last name was Castro. Had his last name not been Castro, he would have won. Salud la gente la cubano. But had his last name not been Castro, he would have won. That resonated with a lot of people the wrong way. But him and his mother have so much of a history in the local legislate in Texas and the state legislate in Texas. That man should have at least won the nomination on, and he didn't. So back to what I was saying, and I'll just end off with this. If you have no power, really, you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about power is not showing off your new car. Power is not. I worked for multimillionaires for 17 years in the record industry. Okay, I know what a multimillionaire is. I know what big money is when I see it. I dress down significantly for many of reasons. One of those reasons being a lot of people recognize me sometimes, and I hate that shit. And when I'm in New York, sometimes I have people, they either come up and talk to me, like I had this kid in the grocery store the other day. He was like, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" I was like, nah. I'm just, I told, what did I tell him? I told him I was a photographer. I was like, nah. But when you're making these decisions on who you're going to side with based off your feelings, you'll find many of times in your emotions, especially you ladies, and especially you women raised men. Hey, girl, you women raised men are worse than I expect a woman to act a certain way in certain situations, but you women raised men, y'all just get on my nerves. You ever notice? I know I'm going on a little tirade right now, but have any of you other guys noticed lately that these men that are raised by women, you could tell them from a mile away, like they all have a certain way they act, all have a certain way they carry themselves, they all have a certain way that they talk, and more importantly than anything, they're always doing one of three things. One, they want you to pay attention to them. Don't you see my new outfit? Don't you see my new shirt? Look at the cell phone I got. They spinning, nigga, they spinning. The second thing they do is accompany to that. They want to hover around you. There's something very strange about a grown man. I don't care if you ages 15 through 25. There's something very odd about a man that wants to circle around you and vie for your attention of another guy. But this is what single parenthood has done. I'm sorry to say. Not I'm not going to say all of them, but a high majority. The third thing, these guys all want to be for the hood. I'm down for the hood. I'm the hoodest. No, I'm the hoodest. Dun, 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 I'm the hoodest. But most of you softer than a baby ass. See, I done been out there. I know guys that's never coming home. So I know the real thing versus the guys when I don't see it. Feminine energy. It's like soy milk. It is, but it was soy milk given by a single mother teta. That's the point you can't forget. It was soy milk given by a single mother teta. These kids didn't raise themselves. They're not wild wolves that were abandoned. These are men that were raised, and women that were raised by single mothers who, in my opinion, many of these women were mentally ill. Many of these women were suffering trauma. Many of these women, especially at the time period, if you were born between, I'm going to say the late 70s to early 90s, if you were born anywhere between that time period, before cameras really had the spectrum on everything, what you'll find is a lot of these women were abused. A lot of these women were raped. A lot of these women have children that are a product of abuse and rape. And a lot of times, especially in Black and Latino families, you'll let it progress and you'll let it, you see it, but you ignore it. You understand what I'm saying? And I've seen situations where somebody will say, "Oh, that's your sister, and that's really your mom." You see what I'm saying? They'll say, "That's your sister, or that's your cousin." No, that's your mother. But she was 12 or 13 when she had you. See what I mean? So, women, you can't, at 72% for Black women and 61% for Latina women, you can't sit here any longer. It doesn't make logical sense in a courtroom. It doesn't make logical sense once it's presented in a broader room outside of your own little social circle or your YouTube circle. It doesn't make sense at that point that you explain this in front of anybody else and they take it as making literal sense. No, these are byproducts of you and the areas that a lot of you women lived in. And it hurts me a lot of times. I have to say this. A lot of y'all would rather have a $40,000 vehicle instead of taking that same $5,000, $8,000, $9,000 to go and buy it on a house and get out of that crummy neighborhood and drive it a clunker because you want to be seen. Especially the women nowadays. Y'all want to buy Birkin bags, red bottoms, all that. I get it. I've done it all. You know what I'm saying? I've had chicks live with me and my condos and everything else. I've lived by the beach, all that. Don't talk to me about money. You knew the money. Hey, and that what's going on, Shot Town? Y'all knew the money. I ain't knew the money. So a lot of people that's new to them. You understand what I'm saying? Especially somebody who grew up in a total poverty. I didn't grow up in poverty. We had some hard times in there before my mother got locked in for a job, or my dad got established, whatever the case may be. But we definitely didn't live in poverty. I used to have friends come to my house. They'd be like, "You live here?" You know what I'm saying? Pool, weight room, sauna, tennis courts. We had a golf course. The last place I lived with my mother, we had a golf course that was built around the actual compound where we lived at. So I mean, it was integrated with the actual complex. So it was a golf course, a huge golf course too. I can't lie. And they were corporate apartments. They had working fireplaces in them, wash and dryer. My bathroom had my bedroom had a bathroom in it. My mom's bedroom had a bathroom, fully working shower. I just had a toilet in mine and a sink. But she had the shower and everything in the master bedroom. So we had I grew up very nice. I didn't grow up in poverty. And I know many of people like me that didn't grow up in poverty, both Black and Latino. Um, and a lot of times I don't get recognized, but they're not vocal enough about it. I'm vocal about it. Fuck you. I don't give a shit what you think. Yeah, I really don't. What you want me to say? Yo, son, you remember, when we had roaches crawling out the cereal? You remember all that? This is a badge of honor with some people, which brings me back to once again, single motherhood. A lot of these women, they will live in these crummy neighborhoods and stay in these crummy neighborhoods for years and have their children susceptible to all the elements that are in those crummy neighborhoods, including other kids that may not be, that mothers may be more lackluster than their particular single mother. And now they're basically penetrating them with their thoughts and everything like that or whatever. So by the time he is 12, 13 years old, this kid that you used to do timetables with, this kid that used to be the nicest kid in the world, this kid that used to go to Sunday morning church with you and everything is a complete different person. You're wondering, why is he like this? And as time progresses, he gets out of 12 or 13, he's now 16. It's very hard to reverse that at 15 and 16. And now he's a full-fledged adult and you can't say nothing. So now you deduce yourself down to giggling with him. You ever seen that? You ever seen parents or women that will see their kid doing something bad and they will start giggling with them like it's funny? You know damn well that ain't funny. And if your uncles or your father or anybody else that was a man, and I'm not talking about the street men, I'm talking about men. Any of those guys that were men in your family, if they saw that behavior, they would check you about it. It's not funny. There was a woman that was on Prez and Rich. I'm talking about Sean and hip hop. I was on with them last night, and it was crazy. What up, Prez? What up, Rich? And Factory. And outside of one of the callers, I forgot which one it was, but it was one of the girls who was at the end of the show. She came in, and this girl had 7 kids. 7 kids. And she was trying to figure out why a guy she was dealing with didn't want to deal with her no more. And he based it on the fact that he said her kids were bad. And I kept on throwing up proclamations. I was like, Shorty, don't worry about it. I was trying to, I mean, console her because I looked in the chat and I could see people were making fun of her. Now, this is the funny thing. The people that were making fun of her weren't men, they were women. There was one woman in there was making fun of her wig, said, "How your wig ain't together? This girl got 7 kids. What time do you have for a beautician? Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button, please. I appreciate it." Then there was another girl that came. I won't stay with her. As she's doing the interview, or being interviewed rather, at one point she starts crying. And at one another point, you hear the kid. She goes into the bathroom to actually do, talk on the phone because we're doing it with the phone. So she goes in the bathroom. One of the kids comes in and keeps flipping on and off the switch. The other kids come in, it's about 3 of them, and they're yelling. She said her oldest was 14 years old. That means that this girl had been, and she didn't look any more than maybe 32, 33. So that means this girl, just like I said earlier, probably had been having kids since she was 12, 13 years old. You see what I'm saying? And that's not to judge her, but it's just saying where it led her to. So now let's say if we take for the sake of the game that she's maybe 32, 33, 34 years old. She said that her youngest is around 4 or 3 or something like that. And I wrote in there and I had to because nobody else would write it in there. I said, sweetheart, you got to get used to the idea that for the next at least 5 years, you're not going to be able to date anybody. And if you do date somebody, it's going to just have to be like, you know what I mean? A wham and bam. You come through every now and then. You know what I'm saying? And do those kids have multiple daddies? Because that's another thing I find too, when you dating single mothers. A lot of times these girls got kids by multiple men, and that can pursue a problem. One dude can be cool. I've been through this before. One dude can be cool, and you can be like, "Hey man, what's going on?" He goes to work or school, whatever, and then the other dude, bang, bang, bang. I think I'm a thug, and then you just gotta be like, and just just set the precedence. That's why I tell you, anytime. Listen, if you think you can beat them, do it. If you date a girl with kids, let me tell y'all this. Y'all hit the like button. If you date a girl with kids, right? And the first time that dude comes in the house, and you really like that girl, you plan on staying with her, and the first time he comes in that house, and he tries to show authority, just one good time, and do it as hard as you can, and aim right here for the bridge. You're gonna fall right back. Trust me on this. And no matter how big they are, I trained for stuff like this. Trust me. Y'all see my joint when I did when I'm doing bags off the brick wall. That's for real. And one time like that, they're gonna drop flat. I guarantee you. It doesn't matter how big they are, how tall they are, how fat they are, how skinny they are. Them right there, they're gonna drop. I had a guy at the Brooklyn gym teach me that years ago, always stuck with me. And it works, as y'all can see. You got to, with this girl, take in consideration that she's one of many girls. And I don't know what locale she lived in. She didn't mention it, but she had 7 kids, 7 young kids. And she's got to get used to the idea. If one of them is the youngest is like 4, you got to at least wait 5 years before you start dating. And I'm going to say 5 years because the 14-year-old, they'll be 19 by that time. So if they can't assist you even more, they'll at least be out of the home, hopefully. And hopefully they won't become a teen mother themselves because she mentioned that the little girl, it was a little girl. But when we start paying attention to that, ladies, and you start being advocates for that, that's the key goal right there. So I want to see a lot of the ladies, now that these girls, listen, a lot of these guys are not coming back. That's just, I hate to deliver it to you like that, but that's just what it is. A lot of these guys are not coming back. A lot of these guys that these girls are talking about are in prison for years, a lot of them. A lot of these guys have moved out of state and got a second family or a new family. A lot of these guys are not even aware that they had a baby by some of these women. I've seen that before. So you got to live with the realization that these kids are here. They're in society. They're going to be part of a larger society in a moment of adults. And sooner or later, you're going to have to take into consideration what can we do to rear them in the right direction since we talk about all this positivity. You understand? If you're not part of that, ladies, I don't know what it is. Like, I remember, and I'm going to end off with this. I remember when I was younger, we used to always go, this is my mother's mother. We used to always have to go to church with her, right? And now when I say church, I mean Monday, Wednesday, Thursday choir rehearsal, and then Saturday night, and then Sunday. And sometimes that Sunday service would extend. It'd be over at 12. They would tell you to come back at 1 for afternoon service, which would go from about 1 to 3. You understand what I'm saying? So you actually been in church since maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, on until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the only joy about it is when you get back to grandma's house, there's a nice dinner waiting there for you, hopefully. you know? And that was my normal when my mother was going to school and we had to go stay with my grandmother during the day. My mother was at school, father was at work. What are you going to do? So they used to drop me there along with my other cousins on my mom's side of the family. And I remember if I was out riding my bike, if I was walking to the store with my cousins or whatever I was doing, right? There were women specifically that would stop me and check me if they saw me doing something that I was supposed to be doing. If that meant throwing rocks, I never one time Miss Charlene, she called me cursing and smacked the crap out of the back of my head. I ain't even she was standing behind me the whole time and I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? And I was about to curse again, like, what the fuck? Hey, Miss Charlie. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. Discipline is definitely a prerequisite. And aiding in this whole utopia that many of y'all talk about online that you want to live in, this whole, we gonna get better. Da, da, da. People been doing that. We gonna get free one day. I've been doing that shit for like 40, 50 years. Look what you got. So is it safe to say by now that doesn't work? So we need to take some other prerequisites or whatever. So guys, if you want to hear more about Kanye and what I had to say about Kanye at the beginning of this video, you can do so. When I end this broadcast, go back to the beginning, feel free, and I break down a whole bunch of things about Kanye West or how I feel about him, the Pete Davidson situation or whatever. And I just want to say one more thing to Pete Davidson. If it was me and the woman I've been with for 6 years and got 4 kids by, and you sent me a picture of it said sarcastically in bed with your wife, and you underline wife. You ain't say in bed with Kim. You ain't say in bed with old girl. You ain't say in bed with this chick. You said in bed with your wife. Pete Davidson, you know this as well as I know this. Ain't no way as a regular person in New York City tri-state would you try that with somebody unless you knew you could get away with it. Ain't no way. You're not a tough guy, so stop trying to act like you tough because you're not tough. And you know what I mean? You're from Staten Island. You're not tough. The only people out there in Staten Island that are tough are the Italians who used to go out there from Brooklyn. They made it homes. You're not tough. And you know what you said was not only a diss to him, Kanye, but you was also dissing and disrespected Kim Kardashian. Now, I'd like to know what Kim Kardashian got to say about it. But if it was me, y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good night. I may or may not go live again. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to make sure I went live again. Matter of fact, I am going to go live again because I got a couple of things I got to talk about and catch up or whatever. Because for some reason or another, YouTube prefers me to go live, and you guys do too, versus my uploads. And I work real hard on my uploads. Let me tell y'all something. I got one upload that I'm about to do that's only 15 minutes long. And because of the editing process, it's taking like hours, So I put a lot of effort to make sure that y'all at least get the best quality instead of just taking a clip and just throwing it up or whatever. Even if you watch the tirade, speaking of Kanye, the tirade he did earlier in the week talking about how his daughter could come to Sunday service and everything like that. I think y'all enjoy the way I cut that up, abridged it, and everything like that or whatever. So that's what I went to school for, digital media. I've done stuff for Remy Martin. I've done edits for Quaid. I've done edits for numerous different people. So enjoy the ones that I did, and please rest assured that it's not quick. I'm doing it on a small phone screen, and it takes hours. So, guys, if you would donate like you do everybody else. You see, I don't go through the whole broadcast saying that or whatever. But we are YouTubers. We're not monetized, many of us, and this is how we live. So, if you guys could, I appreciate it. The links are in the description box, and there'll also be one in the pinned comment. And also make sure y'all hit those like buttons for me, please. It helps with the rotation of the channel. So if you hadn't had the opportunity to do that right now, those are remaining. Please make sure you hit that like button, even if you don't donate. But if you really want to donate, it's $STRINGERBELL80. Link is in the description box, also for PayPal and Cash App. Also, it'll be in the pin link in the description box. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that was here. Annette Chi-Town, what's going on? Selma Haywood, thank you so much for your introspect. I really appreciate it. Special K, I know who that is. I think she over there for starring them. Selma, who else? Superstar Bella always here with me. I appreciate you. Who else is up in here? Mochila. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. How you doing? You said you hadn't been here in a while, so and Rach EAA, she said, "Hey, I haven't watched you in a while. You look great. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Y'all make sure y'all hit those like buttons before you get out of here. If you don't hit it now, hit it on the rebroadcast and go back and watch what I had to say about Kanye and break it down. And like I said, ladies, one more time, pay close attention to your advocacy for Kim Kardashian because many of y'all in your vlogs, your YouTube, Instagram posts, Facebook posts can go back just 6 months back and see something derogatory or some fun you've made of Kim Kardashian that just don't add up. Kim, these chicks don't like you. They like the idea of you being with a white man and leaving Kanye so they can knock Kanye down a notch. And for women of color, specifically, if you are out here, you're back at Kim Kardashian, then what do you stand for? I'll talk to you guys later.